Hello, everyone. So, question for you. Have you ever had an idea that really was just so clear that it pulled you out of bed at 3 in the morning? Well, today we're going to talk about those moments. It's something that Kylene and I like to call God winks, and how alignment with that can really become an advantage for our business.
Yeah. We're going to walk through how to recognize those aligned sparks, capture them, and then help you guide them in your business in a way that creates more joy, more effectiveness, and a lot less grinding in your business.
Absolutely. All right. Well, before we dive in, if you are watching live right now, we want you to be more than just a listener today. All right. Be part of the conversation, please. Drop your thoughts in the chat as we go, invite a friend, and just make sure that you're subscribed so you never miss another chance to join us live here. And yeah, we want you to be participating in the conversation. In fact, Chuck is already participating. So good afternoon, Chuck. Thanks for being here. So yeah, we want people to join us live and be participants in this, Kylene.
Yes, exactly. This is your space to interact, not just consume the content. Your questions, your insights, and even those light bulb moments that you have could be the thing that actually helps someone else here today, too.
Awesome. All right, Kylene. Well, let's dive into this.
All right, I'm ready.
Dark days, overwhelmed, trapped in a maze. Small business owner, stress had me in a daze. Every problem piled up, couldn't catch a break. Thought I couldn't make it, my dreams were at stake. But then I found a group that changed my whole perspective. Our success group of a community so effective. We all chasing that dream, sharing struggles and fears. They understood my journey, wiped away my tears. Together we broke through, we rise above. No more feeling stuck, we're fueled by love. Our small business is shining, reaching new heights. With the support of our success group, we're taking flight. Our word is strong, the vision so clear. Building our dreams with no more fear. Together we're resilient, unstoppable force. With our success group.
Let's talk some business.
All right, Kylene. So we are here to talk about alignment being a business advantage, business strategy. And we just want to kind of start people out now. For those that are new, or maybe you're not familiar, if you don't have the book, The Fundamentals of Business Success, certainly pick that up. You can find it on Amazon, or you can find it on our website. But we have a flow in there. And the way that the fundamentals work is there's a flow. And we start with the plant phase, really kind of getting our mindset right. Then we move to the prepare phase, where we're just understanding the strategy that we're going to implement. And then finally, the most important stage that a lot of people sometimes miss is we take action. So we want to always format the Small Business Saturdays episodes in that same kind of cycle, so we all get into that rhythm. And so for the mindset kind of reflection side of today, so we keep in the format there, I want people to recognize, Kylene, that when you're in alignment, let's recognize the role that plays, right? Like we think, oh, I don't have time to figure out, who I am, what I do well. I've got so many things going on, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
But the reality is you don't have time not to do that, because otherwise you're just going to be spinning your wheels. And when you are in alignment, you really do find this flow. So, Kylene, if I can maybe start off with just a quick story that kind of led to all this, so you can see this, right? I mentioned, have you ever had that thing that's so clear that wakes you up at 3 a.m.? Well, I had that. I was peacefully sleeping, and all of a sudden at 3 a.m., I'm wide awake. Right? And, different things have shown up, and different things have kind of happened like that in the past. And sometimes, I've just kind of wasted those opportunities, or sometimes they weren't real clear opportunities. It was just kind of this little flicker, right? But this was a real spark. I felt it, right? And so I got up, I went to my office, and I had this just feeling of flow. The idea was, you and I've been reading, I read, and you're in the middle of reading this book. I don't know the exact title, God Winks, but yeah, when God Winks at You, by, I'm not going to get his name right, but
Fire Rushnell.
yeah, it's a really great book. It was actually gifted to me by a friend of mine, Steve Denny. And in fact, I even made him sign the front of it, even though it's not his book, because it was such a special gift for me. And so with that, right, what happened was I was thinking about that whole idea there and realizing that there's so many of these God winks, whatever you want to call them, right? Those sparks, those intuitive moments that happen all around us. And I think most of us are just on such autopilot, or there's so much noise from the outside world, social media, et cetera, that we don't recognize those moments of intuition, those God winks. And so I really decided, okay, I need to do a better job of tracking these things and trying to decipher them a little bit more. And I need a system to do that. And again, 3 a.m., all of a sudden, this system totally popped into my brain. And I wasn't hustling. I wasn't like, oh my gosh, how am I going to figure this out? I literally felt the flow. I got in there, 3 a.m., built a little automation in Zapier, used ChatGPT, a link to then help kind of figure it out. So basically, I can, on my phone, wherever I'm out on my computer, I can go to Trello. I create a card that is this God wink card. I put the date, I put what the wink was, and then I put what I thought maybe it meant. And then that goes into Zapier. And Zapier runs that through ChatGPT to ask it some questions, give me some reflection questions to come back on. And then the best part is, then it takes it from there and it puts it into a very nicely organized spreadsheet. So I can look at the big picture very quickly and easily, right? So, okay, yes, I love the toys, I love the technology, but I would not call myself like a tech whiz, right? I play and I know just enough to be dangerous, and I build some things, but it just it was like that. And so, and the other part that really stood out to me, Kylene, is I definitely wasn't hustling. There was just this piece about the whole thing. Like I didn't know any way how this was going to happen. And I just typed a few things in. I started trying some things. I tested a couple things, and boom, it was there. And there's just this, and that's really what hit me, just this level of peace and joy that I had in that moment, right? At that point, it was only like 3:45. I can't remember if I went back to bed or not. I may have been so on fire that I didn't, but I could have, right? I was peaceful. Yeah. So, that's what started this whole thing. And so what do you think maybe the key mindset shift is, Kylene, or any other things you want to add to that?
I mean, really the mindset shift is, flow and understanding what that actually means. It's not really about doing more. It's about doing what's true. So when these things show up for you, little signs, little God winks, you lean into it more. It's doing what is meaningful for you instead of forcing it. And like you were saying, that frantic hustle that that people love to say. Yeah. And it really isn't random. It's an intentional type of activity that you're doing. And the more that you pay attention and slow down and lean into that, the more you're going to notice and then respond to those moments. And then more often they're going to happen, right? And then for you, building that system around it and waking up to do that, I mean, how powerful is that for you to really understand it even at a deeper level?
Absolutely. Super powerful. All right. Well, let's talk to the live listeners here real quick, Kylene.
Yeah,
we've got Craig checking in. Good afternoon, Craig. We've got Keegan, the Keegster, checking in. Good morning, Keegan. Thanks for being here, buddy. And then Chandler says, hi. Oh, snap. And I'm going to rearrange what she said just to help her out here a little bit. Not to help her out, but I was spinning my wheels. Okay. I was spinning my wheels. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So
I like that.
The question I want to ask everybody though, and I'd love to hear this from you too, Kylene, can you think of a time where you were in flow? Yeah. So explain that. And anybody in the chat, right? When was the last time that you felt kind of in flow? You just kind of felt at peace, but you felt also very productive.
Yeah, I mean, we were getting ready to leave for our trip. This was our summer trip for going to volleyball and Hilton Head and all of that. And we were super busy. And I had this event that I went to, which was to build relationships within the community that I teach yoga at. And
Yeah.
so I just remember doing the yoga sequence, and then when I was done in the savasana, there's a dragonfly above me. Well, when dragonflies show up for me, it is like that new beginning type of symbol for me.
Yeah.
And I have definitely, you guys know that here, I'm trying to perfect all of this, right, to get myself more in alignment, what we're talking about. And my plan was to leave after that, and then I just got to talking, and the conversation was so good, and I started building those relationships there at this event instead of just headed off and going home. It felt good. Like I could have stayed there all day and just talked about health and wellness and all of that, and it felt great instead of thinking, okay, I got to do this for this amount of time, this for this amount of time. I just leaned into what was happening in that moment, and
Yeah.
as a result, it built stronger relationships.
Yeah. Now, I love that. That's exactly it, right? And that's the feel. And I think and this is our goal here for today, is we want to take that whole feel that you had there, and how do we turn that into an advantage for our business, right? Whether through inspiration, whether through better action, not better like you're doing really good things, but better like more aligned actions, I guess would be
Yeah.
a better way to put that, right? And so the other question I want to ask people, and again, if you're watching live right now, we want you to participate. This is not I'm here to consume. This is a participatory Small Business Saturdays today, like every day, but we're really going to push you guys today. So I want to ask you guys, when was the last time that you followed a nudge, which without overthinking it, right? And again, how did that feel? The whole mindset side of that is really kind of identifying and kind of cataloging these things so we better recognize them in the fast pace of life, right? Like, I want to put a marker on that, right? I want to do that again. I need to do more of that. How do I get more of that? That kind of thing. So when was the last time that you followed a nudge without overthinking it, right? So if that was the last time for you, Kylene, right? Yeah. And since then, have there been any, maybe just thinking about it like right now,
Yeah.
maybe that was the last major one, but maybe there was a smaller one since that time, because that was a bit ago.
Yeah, I mean, I think even like the last time I taught, well, I taught this morning, but on Wednesday night on my way home after teaching, I was driving and the sun was setting, and the way the clouds were over it, I don't know, it just looked really magical. And I just had this feeling take over. I was like, oh, hi, Dad. And I was like, oh, he's trying to tell me, or I think, that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to be connecting with these people and sharing my gifts this way.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just gives you that. It feels really good to know that what you're doing, what you're spending your time on is right.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, I love it. We'll hold on to both those things. I know there's also a quote out of that book. I don't know where that fits. Do you want to do it now before we slide into the prepare phase here?
Yeah, because I think this would be good for the mindset side. So in the book here that we were referring to, there's a little thing in here I wanted to share. It's called Catching Hope. It says, hope is a powerful force in life. It's like going into the kitchen, turning on the faucet, and being surprised by the water pressure. You almost jump back, giddy that there's so much energy pouring out. Your hope is stored up inside and wants to burst out of you the same way. You need to turn on the faucet of your faith and then feel the surge of hope that springs forward. You are fully hopeful, and you'll cause other people around you to almost jump, happily splashed with your enthusiasm, reinforced by the wonderful God winks that happen to you. Hope is contagious. Go ahead and spread it around. So, it's that energy that you have by recognizing it and leading in to it.
Yeah.
It's like the law of attraction,
Yeah, absolutely.
all of it. So.
Yeah. And I think, that's my goal for today, is to figure out a way that we can transcribe to you guys and pass along for ourselves as well. How do we harness that energy, right? That's the whole advantage through alignment. It's harnessing that energy to complete the things that are going to be more in alignment with who we are. But that's also going to be a big advantage for our business, because when we do the right things, or things that are in alignment with us, right? I'm using those two things interchangeably because I truly believe if it's in alignment with you, it's right, even if it doesn't work out exactly the way you felt it should work out.
Mhm.
Um,
Yep.
how do we harness that, right? And so I think the next step in harnessing that is to kind of have a strategy, a plan, right? How do we harness those aligned ideas without losing them or letting the energy fade to where now I have to manufacture energy again to take the next step, right? It's
Mhm.
let's make the curve like this as opposed to like this, right? And so
Yep.
um, I guess as we kind of talk about the prepare phase here, what do you think, Kylene, would maybe help when we're talking about alignment, being who we are and choosing what's right for us?
Mhm.
How does that help with our business decisions?
It makes everything easier. You know when to say yes, and you know when to say no when it doesn't feel quite right. When you're in that alignment, you're in flow, you're connected to your reason, all of that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Um, and it makes your decisions easier. So again,
Yep.
got the list of things here, Kylene, and we're gonna look at this thing. It's gonna make our decisions easier. It's almost like a filter, right? Like um, I think one of the most challenging things that I deal with in my day to day world, and I think Kylene knows this because at the end of the day, I definitely get a little frustrated when a lot of decisions are being thrown at me. It's big challenge of like, okay, what do I do? Right? Like as a small business owner, I don't have somebody telling me what to do. In fact, even though I've got a playbook, it's only a guardrail, right?
Yep.
And what's right for me is going to be right for me. What's right for Kylene is going to be right for Kylene. And maybe some of those things we can inspire each other in, but the things that Kylene will get the most advantage by saying yes to are different from the things that I'll get the most advantage from saying yes to. And yet we can still end up at that same goal finish line, right?
Yep.
And so I think it really gives us that filter when we are focused on our alignment. And then it also strengthens us. And again, you mentioned that energy, right? You just felt that energy, or that quote where the hope kind of is that harnessed energy. And so the things that you're doing even fuel you even more as opposed to drain you. So that brings up, I don't know how much you've seen. Right now, folks are not super active in the Entrepreneur Success Hub group. So we did really good in July, and I think we let our foot off the gas a little bit for the stuff that Becky's got going on in August here. So it's time for all of us to get back in there. But let's see what day that was. I'm looking it up here real quick. August 13th. Becky's post said this: "What's draining you right now? Sometimes the smallest system can bring the biggest relief. Today's challenge: identify one task in your business that you dread, delay, or forget often. Then ask, can it be simplified, automated, or delegated? Example: maybe you're not a big fan of writing product descriptions. Create a reusable template. Maybe you're beating yourself up because you're forgetting to follow up. Well, maybe
Mhm.
set up a recurring reminder in your calendar or have an email draft ready to go that you look at every day, right? And then the note here is we don't rise to the level of our goals, we fall to the level of our systems. So tell us one system you're committed to working on this week. Um, and so I just wanted to share what I posted. And so here's what I said. I said, for me, it's not so much a task as it is the energy around the task. And when I'm in situations with endless complaining, unnecessary confrontations, the arguing for the sake of arguing kind of thing, and small talk with no point, that's what drains my energy. I thrive in action and solutions, though. So when things stall, it really drains me fast. And so my idea for a system fix is to build in clear next steps and ownership of the projects and do a lot of collaborating and working with other folks. And so I need to make sure that I'm very clear on next steps, when, and who ultimately has ownership, so that momentum feels like it's continuously going. So it doesn't feel like I have to keep all of the balls in the air. Right. So
Mhm.
what can strengthen your energy, right? And so I think the first thing, I even mentioned this to the MOS group, like just going in there and thinking. I mean, that took me, I don't know, 5 minutes at most to make that post, read through them, go through some of the other stuff in the entrepreneur success. Here's my deal, guys. I very rarely spend much time at all in Facebook if it's outside of the Entrepreneur Success Hub, because
Yeah.
none of that stuff fills me up. But I can spend 30 minutes inside the Entrepreneur Success Hub, reply to these things, post my own stuff, and be on fire for the next 2 hours. So
Yeah.
just participating is going to strengthen your energy.
Yeah.
And when you're in alignment as well, you're also going to start seeing that what I would call byproducts, Kylene. So
Mhm.
we're accomplishing something, we're trying to achieve something, and we get there, but then all of a sudden we're able to look back and go, oh, wow, I got there, but it also did this, right? Oh, I maybe attracted a new client. I maybe made a new connection, right? And so it's just, you're being more purposeful.
Yep.
And so we don't have to do everything. We just have to do the most important thing. And a lot of the other little things just tend to go away because you've had that byproduct happen of you taking that aligned action. So, what are any thoughts on that, Kylene?
I mean, it's just when you're clear about what you're doing and when you are in that alignment and your energy is in that positive state, that's attractive to people, and people then trust you more, and you have stronger relationships with your customers, your coworkers, whatever, your employees. And then, like you said, it just multiplies those results, and you get more as a result. And that's what you're talking about here, is how do you harness it? Well, this is, really what you're doing here. It just strengthens your energy here.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about then the capture system, right? The spark for me was to create this capture system on those types of things. But I've got a capture system in general for all of my kind of sparks and ideas. So what is that for you, Kylene, or what are some other things that people can do to capture these things?
I mean, you can journal, you can do notes on your phone. I love this book here that we have, just to write down ideas. You can put in, like you said, on your calendar, you can put in a little reminder to come back to this, or
Mm-hmm.
just something that you can do. Just give yourself a couple minutes just to write it out. Especially if you have one of those experiences Aaron was talking about, don't let yourself forget about it and just go on to the next task.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they are happening all the time. We're just
Absolutely.
not paying attention.
Yeah. So maybe like mine's a sauna, right? But I mentioned Trello in this case, right? It just happened to
Mhm.
fit a little bit more neat and tidy with Zapier in that case. So I'm using both actually, Trello and Asana. But here's the other side of that too. And I'm going to call out Kylene a little bit here. I'm not trying to be rude, but if your system is that book with you all day, every day?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. No, it's not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So, again, Kylene is dealing with a lot of stuff. She's got a day job that's pretty taxing, and it's taken up a lot more of her time than it used to, due to some changes there, and nobody really say anything about it. So, right, like this is where we got to start being intentional about this, right? This is what I was talking about before, where, okay, let's take those sparks and let's use them. But if your system breaks down, then either it's too complicated or you're not committed to it enough, right? Or you're not seeing the value out of doing it. So maybe, and I'm not saying this for Kylene, I'm just saying in general, here's something that could show up. Like maybe the problem for you is that you don't feel like you need to take the book with you everywhere because you write it down in there and nothing happens with it. So your subconscious is going, what's the point?
Yeah.
Right. And so do you have a review process after you write it down in the book, that kind of thing. So it really is about the systems. To Becky's point, in that post here, we don't rise to the level of our goals, we fall to the level of our systems.
Yes.
Right. And so that's a really good point. Yeah. Chandler
And
says, "Oh yeah, I need another notebook from Fun Live," and yeah, I would reach out to Becky. uh, yeah, I'm with you. No one told me either. All right, cool. So participate, right? Let's participate. Let's have a system, right? Let's be intentional about it. And then the last part here, Kylene, in this kind of strategy planning idea here is we need to be able to differentiate between that random passing thought. Like I have, I was actually having a conversation with Lewis on the way home from a volleyball thing the other night, and we were trying to talk about what was going on and trying to get down to some specifics. And I'm like, whatever you're thinking, buddy, it's fine, let it go. And he's like, I've got 80 things in my head right now. I'm like, okay, well, there's your challenge, right? You're trying to think about 80 things at once. What thing is the most important? What's the thing that really stands out, right? Not what you think I want to hear, not what you think is the right answer, but what's the loudest, right? And so I what I've discovered, Kylene, is again, I've got all sorts of different thoughts, all these quote unquote what I feel like are great ideas constantly, right? And I'm lucky. And maybe the problem is they aren't all great ideas. They just felt like it in the moment, right? And so having that system has been really important because that allows me to kind of manage it a little bit more. But I also think that you can really tell pretty quickly because that align spark, that worthwhile action, it's going to feel calm. It's going to have some clarity around it, and it's going to feel very purposeful.
Yep.
It's not going to feel like a drudge. It's not going to feel like, those passing thoughts, they feel very urgent, but they also feel very chaotic. They're kind of scattered. They're reactive, right? Like in that 3 a.m. moment, I didn't know all the things. So I didn't have I'm not saying you should have a step-by-step guide, but the reason for it, the purpose was very clear. And I felt very calm about it. There was no anxiety or like, oh my gosh, I'm going to mess this up, right? And so I think the passing thoughts, the ones that are worth writing down, but maybe not worrying about taking action on yet, are going to feel very urgent. They're going to bring some anxiety to you. They're going to feel very scattered, and you're going to feel, it's that, oh crap, I forgot to do that for the customer kind of thing. And it's going to be that kind of reactiveness. And so what I've learned personally, and I hope this will work for and be helpful for you guys, is that those ideas are going to show up, those kind of passing thoughts, capture them, and then just leave them there, right? We'll leave them off in our periphery. Leave them in, I put mine in Asana and they just have a date down the road or not even a date at all. And what I've found is that when I'm in alignment, I'm trusting myself, I'm letting go and letting God, the right things show up at the right times, very clear and very purposeful. And it may be one of those scattered thoughts from a long time ago. I really probably did think a little bit about how I can, when I was reading that book, I know that there was this kind of like, oh, how do I capture that? That's really interesting. But it was all kind of like, I don't know. And so I just let it go. I just let it go. And then it showed up, right? So any comments on that, Kylene?
Well, I think things show up at the right time, and we have to, be clear and understand how we're feeling when those things do appear. And like you said, if it's creating those negative feelings, the anxiety, the chaos, all of that, that's probably just maybe not something in alignment with you. But when it feels clear, like you got out of bed and your story that you shared, you went right into action, even though you had no idea what the outcome was going to result in.
Well, I knew what the outcome was going to result in. I didn't know the steps specifically.
Steps, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So, it's a very different feeling, I think, and it's becoming aware of that, slowing down to just take a deep breath in and have that quick check. I think would be really powerful.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, let's make this real for everybody, Kylene. Again, we want this to be as participatory as possible here. So I'm still waiting to hear from you guys on some of the things we asked earlier. But let's ask another question.
Okay.
What's the last time you had one of those aligned moments, right? And maybe you didn't notice it at the time, but now that we're talking about it, it's going, oh yeah, that was that moment, right? It just like where everything seemed to click. And I want you guys to drop that in the chat because that's going to inspire somebody else, even if it was small, right? Like even if it was very small, like, maybe Kylene, I think last week you kind of had this aligned moment where you're like, okay, we need to, school's coming up, tryouts are coming up for volleyball. We need to get something set up for Lou to go work with one of these coaches one-on-one, right? He's a little stuck right now. And so maybe that was an aligned moment, or maybe it was something where, hey, I just need to, when you were driving home and you're kind of going, yep, that's right. Did that spark then lead to, okay, how do I do more of that?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what led you to go, hey, I'm going to like this event on Facebook. And I said, okay, you're going. Yeah.
Yep.
Even though it's in the middle of our tryout day, right? Like, it's okay, that's fine. That I think that's what's so interesting about it is the hows don't make sense, but the why is so clear that it just works out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, So last time you had one of those aligned moments where everything just seemed to click, and please drop it into the chat, even if it was something small.
Yep. Yes. And then if you're watching the replay, still comment. We'll go back and we'll read those. And then it's just a great way for us to keep the conversation going because this can be so powerful for you.
Absolutely. All right. Cool. Kylene, how are we doing? Are you on course here? I'm not trying
we're on course. Yeah.
Out. Huh?
Yeah, we're on course.
All right. Anything else that you want to share before we get into taking action?
No, I think we're good.
You ready to take some action? You ready to be held to account?
I am. It's interesting that we're talking about this. Lewis, our son, starts school on Monday. And for me, that's like a transition period, right? To start a different system for our family. And I'm actually really looking forward to it. I know you don't have to wait for some of those transition moments, but sometimes they do show up, and it's a great time to create one of those systems.
Yep. Love it. Okay. Mm-hmm. So we're taking these sparks. We've thought about them a little bit more clearly, so we're intentional with it. Maybe we are building a system. Hopefully you're building a system. Okay. So Chandler, thank you, Chandler. She says, I'm striving for that right now, and I need to get my needs versus wants categorized. I'm going to share something with Chandler here real quick that might help you guys as well. When it feels complicated, are you overdoing the system, right? Needs versus wants. Okay. It certainly is important to go, okay, is this a need versus a want? Right. But the reality is, what is it, right? Like is it aligned? Whether it's a need or a want, is it aligned? Right. So I'm just giving you permission, I guess, Chandler, to not worry too much about the categorization of that, and honestly go with your gut if that is still feeling important to you, and don't worry about whether it's right or wrong. But what I would say is just, okay, what's the next step, right? We were talking about this a little bit inside of MOS and our Slack deal. What's the next step? Right. And then what's the thing that if I look a week down the road, 2 weeks down the road, and look back, I go, oh, cool, I'm proud of that accomplishment. Right. And so if you can book in those two things, the stuff in the middle tends to kind of line up a little bit. Yeah. All right. So, all right. Sorry, that was off track a little bit, but I want to.
No, but I like that you gave her permission to just, there's no right or wrong answer.
That's right. Yeah. And she's doing amazing. She's doing amazing work. I know, a lot on the plate. She's got the day job as well as taking and doing something very important with something very big in the grace period. That's very needed in our community. So, I know that can be a lot. But as soon as that overwhelm starts hitting us, that takes away the superpower that we've gained from this aligned action. Right. Yep. So we got to shed that stuff that things we are out of our control. Let them go. Easier said than done. I get it, but that's more of a reminder for me than anybody. All right. Yeah, absolutely. But I just wanted you guys to not feel like I'm preaching to you. I really am talking in the community scenario here, that things that I'm working on every day as well. All right. So let's talk about action, Kylene. Let's dig in, right? And this is the part again where I think a, a lot of us, right? This is the stall point, right? Because this is where the rubber meets the road. This is where reality starts happening, right? All of those fears, right? We can talk a big game about overcoming them and pushing outside of our comfort zone. But when it's time to actually do it, are we showing up, right? This is where we go from talking into action. Um, and and I guess what I want to talk about here, Kylene, which might be helpful for us then, if those are the things that are holding us back from action,
Mhm.
is to really start understanding when we're talking about these aligned actions, then in a lot of ways, we're partnering with something bigger than just ourselves, right? And so this alignment actually becomes a real growth modifier for us because it's not just us, right? There's this bigger purpose, right? And wherever you're at, for Kylene and I, this is let go, let God,
Yeah.
universe, source energy, whatever that is, we're all connected, and we're connected through God, and so there's some steps in the action that will make this whole idea of partnering with something bigger a little bit easier. So, do you want to start, or you want me to start, Kylie?
I can definitely start. You know, when we talk about the growth multiplier, it's trusting the timing. This is the hardest one, I think,
Yeah,
because we all want it today. And sometimes it's not meant to happen yet, but
yeah,
you're still working towards it. And so, like Aaron was saying, we have our faith and we truly do trust that it's God's timing and that we need to go through these other things to learn to prepare for when it does happen.
yeah,
And
absolutely.
it's, yeah. And
Yeah,
then for others, that could be, your intuition, your inner compass. The principle is the same as, God's timing, whatever resonates with you. It's all the same. It's all of our having that faith
yeah,
and
yeah.
trust.
And this is the biggest area of challenge for me, Kylene, for sure. This is this. Yeah, I want it all right now, right? Like a great idea. Oh my gosh, I see the future. The vision's there, right? I pop up at 3 a.m. and do the thing,
Yeah.
and but that doesn't mean that I need to pop up at 3 a.m. every time, right? And so there is this piece when you stop kind of trying to make it perfect. I actually had a post the other day on Facebook about this, right? That the
Mhm.
real thief of true success and joy and fulfillment is not imperfection, but this chasing of perfection, this comparing ourselves to others, this
Yeah.
all of these things that generate this fear, worry, and anxiety. We're manufacturing all of that, by the way, guys. And I hate to say
Mhm.
that because I know that life circumstances are real, but we do have the power to let that stuff go
Mhm.
and to change that
Yeah.
feeling, right? And so, again, first and foremost, just trusting the timing, right?
Yeah.
Maybe I want it right now, but like Kylene said, there's some other things we got to learn first, right? And when we're going away from our alignment, here's what another thing that I've learned that kind of helps us understand the timing a little bit is the further we get out of alignment, I think the more difficulty and roadblocks and the bigger the challenges are, right? The
Mhm.
more the more stress you have, the more you feel like the world's against you. Um, I think that typically is a really good indicator that you're pushing the wrong way in your own time, and that you need to let go and come back and stand up for yourself and say the things and whatever that is, right?
Yeah.
But that understanding that when you're in alignment, it's like you've greased the rails, right? Like you're just it's things are moving and it feels more natural. And yes, there's still going to be a few roadblocks here and there because that's how we learn and grow. But they're not going to feel like the weight of the world on top of you, or this really terrible thing that's about to happen, quote
Yeah.
unquote, that kind of thing. So
And if I can just add,
yeah, please.
and I think Craig was kind of alluding to this on his comment too, is this is where gratitude can really be a superpower for you. Craig wrote, I need to have my haves more
I
and
need to
think less
use my
about,
haves more and
yeah,
think less about the
what
ones.
I want.
Yeah,
Yeah. So, that's just appreciating what we have in the moment, appreciating those challenges that are showing up, appreciating that you actually get to have this dream. Yep, the gratitude shift. It's truly what you can use in those moments to keep that energy higher, to keep moving forward, instead of like Erin was saying, letting all that, the things that we don't have, the things that aren't working out right, take over.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So the second part of this action, Kylene, is just to, again, probably speaks really to what you're talking about with gratitude here and maybe celebration as well. But you're going to start seeing the impact if you've got your eyes open for it, if you're looking for it,
Yep.
right? Because when you're taking an action in alignment, better opportunities are going to start showing up. Stronger relationships are going to start forming, right? You keep doing these things where you show up and are putting yourself in these opportunities to build relationships. If you keep taking the aligned action with that, those relationships are going to get stronger, right? And then the really cool byproduct is then your customers, your potential clients, whatever that is for you, they're going to start sensing that, right? It's just an energy that is like people are drawn to it, like you talked about earlier, Kylene, that law of attraction. And that only happens when you're truly authentically aligned with who you are and taking those steps in that way, right? So not I don't mean to make that sound like this, oh my gosh, if you're not fully aligned, you're never going to attract any customers. But the more you're focused on trying to be in alignment with who you are and doing the things that are right for you, the more your customers are going to sense that, the more authentic you're going to be able to be, because you're not trying to manufacturing something that's not you.
Mm-hmm.
And so you really start seeing this impact. And the way to see that is to be looking for it and be ready to celebrate and be ready to be thankful for what you have, right? Your story that you just mentioned there about Craig and the gratitude side of this is something that Lou and I were talking, our son Lewis and I were talking about the other night. And I said, buddy, the more you focus on what you don't have, you're going to get more of that, right? We heard the Henry Ford quote of, there's some people that think they can, and there's some people that think they can't, and they're both right.
Yeah.
Right. And so that was,
yeah.
And so that was kind of the gist of it was, if you're focused on all the things you don't have, then you're going to get more of that. If you're focused on all the things you do have, you're going to get more of that. Mm-hmm. Right. And the things that you want. So that's number 2. So let's leave people with some action steps, Kylene.
Yep.
So what, you want to start?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. So one of the action steps that you can do is, this week, truly just commit to some kind of capturing every nudge in one place. So whether that's on your phone, on Trello, on Asana, on a journal, on a Post-it note, whatever you have access to capture it, just keep it all in one place. That would be, that powerful first step.
Perfect. Love it. Yep. So you sticking with the book?
I'm sticking with my book. Yeah.
Okay. What's the next step for you into making that into a system that's truly powerful for you?
So the next step would be then reviewing it every night.
Okay. And you can commit to every night with your schedule?
I can. I mean, I do my prayers every night before bed and
okay. So that means review it every night, take it with you everywhere you go.
Yeah. Well, they might show up when I'm driving, so I could just use my phone and the notes on my phone, because that's always with me. Okay. So that might be a better tool. I'm glad you brought that up.
All right. Well, it's fine. Yeah, just know what you and then have that. Okay. Cool. All right. So
how about you?
My system is on my phone, the Trello program that I put together with AI and stuff like that. So, but I'm going to add one more bit to it. So like I said, it goes into that spreadsheet. It's kind of organized, but I'm going to put a calendar reminder once a month to go back and look at the bigger picture of what maybe all of those things could have meant for me, and where maybe there's some additional inspired action to take. Okay.
Cool. I love it.
All right. So the next action that we're going to begin to build this advantage for our businesses and for what we're working on is we're going to encourage you over the course of this next week to act on at least one spark immediately. Don't overthink it. Act on it. All right. So, and I want you to note that. We'd love you to bring that to next week's Small Business Saturday, or step 3, even better, is share your experience at the Entrepreneur Success Hub group. All right. So, one more time on the 3 things. Kylene, you want to just give them the overview?
Yep. So commit this week to capturing every nudge in one place. So you have that capture system, and then you're going to act on one of those sparks immediately without overthinking it or analyzing it. And then share that experience with us next week on Small Business Saturday, or especially in the Entrepreneur Success Hub Facebook group.
Yep. Okay. Well, Kylene, as we close this up, I just want to leave people with this reminder that your sparks, your God winks, whatever that is for you, they are not random. With this whole idea of a coincidence, the older I get, the more and more clear it becomes that there's no such thing. It's just a made up word. So your sparks are not random. They're in a huge way invitations to step into something that's meant for you. It's kind of like you're walking down a hallway, this spark happens, and this door flies open that was previously locked, right? You can keep walking down the hallway, but if that door flung open for you, why not take a step into it?
Yep. I love that. Yep. And then just pay attention to them, trust them, and then watch what happens in your business and your life. So this is where you're being intentional with what has been given to you here.
Absolutely. Well, before we wrap up, just a reminder that, as Kylene mentioned earlier, these conversations don't have to end when the live stream does. Real magic happens when we keep talking about it and we work on applying it together. And that's where the real magic happens, Kylene.
Yes, most definitely. And that's why the Entrepreneur Success Hub was created. It's free. It's a private community where you can share your wins, get feedback, and then truly keep building from alignment with other business owners who get it.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you guys are not already there, or even if you are already a member and you haven't posted anything recently, or just comment, right? You don't even need to start your own post if that's too much. Just comment. There's no wrong answers. And if you'll just get in there and comment, make that your place to kind of grow from, make this your garden, so to speak. You're going to love it. So osg.link/group is how you get to that. And so the next time you have one of those 3 a.m. sparks, the other nice part about it is it's open 24/7. So you'll have a place to share it, talk through it, and maybe even get some encouragement to take it to the next level.
Yeah, most definitely. We'd love to see you guys there. And then we'd love to keep this conversation going too. So please share as much as you can. And if you found today's episode helpful, share it with someone else. It might be helpful to them as well.
Absolutely. Kylene, next week we're going to kind of keep rolling. We're not really in the same topic, but if you're kind of playing along at home and you've been watching us, right? We kind of went business plan. What do we do with the business plan? Now, how do we get, to start taking some better aligned actions? And I think one of the biggest roadblocks to these aligned actions are all of the shoulds that we have, so we're going to talk next week about some techniques to let go of the shoulds. And we definitely need to stop shoulding on ourselves. And I'm not cursing. And because I think that's where we really find the true success that's worth celebrating, when it's not a should, it's a I get to.
Yeah. Very powerful. And then just remember, lasting change does come from positive energy. So remember, gratitude is your superpower for this. Embrace it, and let's keep growing together. And we'll see you guys next week.
Bye, everybody. Have a great week.
Dark days, overwhelmed, trapped in a maze. Small business owner, stress had me in a daze. Every problem piled up, couldn't catch a break. Thought I couldn't make it, my dreams were at stake. But then I found a group that changed my whole perspective. Our success group of a community. chasing that dream, sharing struggles and fears. They understood my journey, wiped away my tears. Together we broke through.